If you're over 65 and you've ever forgotten the name of a neighbor, misplaced your keys more than usual, or felt like thinking takes a little more effort than it used to, please listen closely. What I'm about to share could change the next decade of your life. Scientists now know that parts of our brain physically shrink with age, but here's the most important truth. Much of that shrinkage is avoidable, and in many cases it can be slowed, stopped, or even partly reversed. This isn't fear-mongering. It's a hopeful message based on the latest research and practical steps you can take right now to protect your memory, independence, and the life you love. Stay with me. I'll explain what brain shrinkage looks like, what causes it, how to recognize early signs, and, most importantly, evidence-backed strategies to preserve and rebuild brain volume so you can stay mentally sharp and emotionally present for the people who matter most. Hello, I'm glad you're here. If you're watching from the United States, this message is for you and for the families who care for someone over 65. I've spent years talking with older adults and their families, hearing the quiet fear behind questions like, will I forget my grandkids' names? Or, am I losing my mind? Those are real worries. They deserve real answers. The brain is not a mysterious black box. It is a living organ that responds to what we do every day. Sleep, movement, what we eat, how we manage stress, our blood pressure, hearing, and social life, all of it shapes the brain's structure. That means choices matter. Today, I will walk you through the science in simple language and give you a clear, practical plan, a roadmap you can start using tonight. You don't need to be a scientist to protect your memory. You just need small, consistent actions. By the end of this video, you'll know what to do, why it works, and how to fit it into your life. What is brain shrinkage? Let's begin with a clear picture. Brain shrinkage, also called brain atrophy, refers to a reduction in the volume of brain tissue. Certain regions, like the hippocampus, which helps form new memories, are particularly vulnerable. Over time, neurons and their connections can be lost, and with that, our ability to learn new information or remember details can decline. Brain shrinkage happens in nearly everyone as part of normal aging, but the rate and pattern vary widely. For some people, it's gradual and has little effect on daily life. For others, it's faster and contributes to measurable memory problems, confusion, or difficulty with daily tasks. Why mention this? Because understanding the changes helps us recognize the early signs and act before the shrinkage becomes disabling. The National Institute on Aging explains clearly that certain parts of the brain shrink with age, and that changes to circulation, neurotransmitters, and brain cells are part of this process. PMCI, it's also important to separate normal forgetfulness from concerning signs. Forgetting names sometimes is normal. Losing track of an entire conversation or getting lost in familiar places. Those are signals that deserve attention. Remember the hook. The brain can shrink. But much of this is preventable. Let's look at what speeds up the shrinkage and what slows it down. Major causes and risk factors. You can control. Not all risk factors are in your control. Age and genetics are among them. But many of the strongest drivers of brain shrinkage are controllable. Here are the main ones explained simply. Vascular risk, high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. Poor blood vessel health means less oxygen and nutrients for brain cells. Over time, small strokes and microvascular damage cause white matter changes and tissue loss. Managing blood pressure and blood sugar is one of the most powerful ways to protect your brain. The CDC highlights high blood pressure and uncontrolled diabetes as major modifiable dementia risk factors. CDC physical inactivity. A sedentary lifestyle reduces blood flow, increases inflammation, and accelerates age-related brain changes. Exercise is not optional, it's protective. We'll discuss the best types of movement in a moment. Recent research continues to confirm that both aerobic and resistance exercise improve cognition and may slow brain atrophy. PMC poor sleep. Sleep is brain repair time. Deep sleep helps the brain clear metabolic waste, including the proteins linked to Alzheimer's disease. Chronic poor sleep has been associated with smaller brain volumes in several studies, and recent research even links sleep deprivation to hippocampal atrophy. Good sleep hygiene is essential. Unhealthy diet and metabolic issues. Diets high in sugar, refined carbs, and processed foods increase inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which harm the brain. In contrast, Mediterranean-style diets rich in vegetables, olive oil, legumes, and fish have been linked to slower brain aging and less shrinkage. Newer studies show that diets like the Green Mediterranean may actually reduce brain age. Eating while smoking and excessive alcohol both accelerate brain aging. Smoking reduces blood flow and increases oxidative stress. Excessive alcohol damages neurons directly. Reducing or quitting tobacco and limiting alcohol are clear protective moves. Hearing loss and social isolation. Hearing loss has been associated with faster cognitive decline. When hearing is impaired, people may withdraw socially, and reduced engagement with life is a strong risk for cognitive decline. Addressing hearing loss, hearing aids, communication strategies helps the brain stay engaged. Chronic stress and depression. Repeated stress raises cortisol, which can impair memory and even shrink areas like the hippocampus. Treating depression and stress is brain protection, traumatic brain injuries. Even moderate head injuries increase the risk of later cognitive problems. Protect your head during falls and activity. Prioritize bone health and home safety. These risks are powerful, but they also map directly to things we can work on. That's the hopeful part. How brain shrinkage shows up. Signs to watch for. Knowing the signs helps you act early. Here are practical, observable changes that should lead to a health check. Difficulty following a conversation or instructions. Repeating questions or stories shortly after being told something. New problems with planning, paying bills, or using familiar devices. Getting lost in places that used to be familiar. Changes in mood, withdrawal from social activities, or unusual apathy. Trouble with balance or small motor tasks. Sometimes cognitive decline shows up as physical slowing. If you notice persistent changes lasting longer than a few weeks or months, talk to your doctor. Early assessment, including blood tests, brain imaging in some cases, and cognitive testing, can identify reversible causes like vitamin deficiencies, thyroid disease, medication effects, or sleep apnea, and guide interventions. After every section, let's bring this back to our hook. Brain shrinkage is real, but recognizing these signs early opens the door to effective action. Science-backed strategies. What the research tells us. Now we get to the part you can use. I'll cover diet, exercise, sleep, medical checkups, cognitive activity, social life, and practical habits. Each explained with the science and clear steps. A. Move your body, the most powerful prescription. Why movement matters. Exercise increases blood flow, reduces inflammation, stimulates the release of growth factors, like BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and helps form new connections between neurons. Both aerobic exercise, walking, swimming, cycling, and resistance training, light weights, elastic bands, have been shown to support cognition and brain structure. A growing body of research shows that a mix of cardio and strength training is especially beneficial for older adults. PMC How to Start. Practical plan. Daily walking. Aim for 20-30 minutes a day at a brisk but comfortable pace. If that's too much at first, break it into 2 10-15-minute walks. Strength training twice a week. Use light weights or resistance bands to do basic moves. Squats or sit to stand. Seated rows with a band, chest press with bands, and calf raises. Strength training preserves muscle, supports balance, and helps glucose control. All beneficial for brain health. Balance and coordination. Tai Chi and simple balance drills, standing on one foot near a sturdy chair, reduce fall risk and increase brain-body connection. Tip for safety. Check with your primary care doctor before beginning a new exercise, especially if you have heart or joint issues. A physical therapist can demonstrate safe modifications. Or B. Nutrition. Feed your brain. What to eat. Follow a brain-healthy diet. The Mediterranean diet, high in vegetables, fruit, whole grains, legumes, olive oil, and fish, is consistently associated with better cognitive outcomes and less brain shrinkage. Recent trials suggest that diets with extra polyphenol-rich foods, green tea, mankai, certain whole plant foods, may provide additional protection. Eating well practical meal swaps and guidelines. Breakfast. Oatmeal with berries, chia seeds, and a sprinkle of walnuts, omega-3s, a brain-friendly start. Lunch, salad with mixed greens, chickpeas, cherry tomatoes, olive oil, and a piece of grilled salmon or tuna. Dinner, stewed vegetables, quinoa or brown rice and grilled fish or legume-based dish. Snacks, fresh fruit, a small handful of nuts, or Greek yogurt. Limit, sugary drinks, processed snacks, and excessive red meat. Consider supplements cautiously. Omega-3, EPA, and DHA show potential for supporting brain health. Consult your physician, especially if you take blood thinners. Evidence indicates dietary omega-3s correlate with lower dementia risk and may help preserve brain volume. PMCC. Sleep. The nightly reset sleep is when the brain clears metabolic waste via the glymphatic system. Poor sleep is repeatedly linked to smaller brain volumes and higher dementia risk. Prioritize 7 to 8 hours of regular, uninterrupted sleep. Address sleep apnea if present. Untreated sleep apnea significantly harms the brain. Sleep hygiene checklist. Maintain a regular sleep schedule, same bedtime and wake-up time every day. Avoid heavy meals, caffeine, and alcohol in the hours before bed. Create a calm bedroom environment. Cool, dark, and quiet. Limit screen time before bed. If you snore loudly or feel very sleepy in the day, ask your doctor about sleep apnea testing. D. Medical management. Treat what hurts the brain. Control blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol. Midlife and later life vascular risk factors are among the strongest contributors to brain atrophy and dementia. Treating hypertension, managing diabetes, and quitting smoking are among the most impactful interventions we have. The CDC and multiple studies emphasize that these vascular risks are modifiable and central to dementia prevention. CDCE. Cognitive engagement. Exercise for your mind. The brain thrives on challenge. Cognitive activities. Reading, puzzles, learning new skills, like a language or instrument, or deliberate mental training programs, stimulate new connections. Social engagement multiplies the benefit. Joining a book club, volunteering, or reconnecting with friends provides both cognitive and emotional stimulation. How to make it practical. Learn something new weekly, a recipe, a craft, or a short online class. Do active puzzles, ones that require strategy, like bridge or crosswords with a time limit. Use technology. Simple brain training apps can help, but balance them with social and real-world tasks. F. Social connection and hearing loneliness and untreated hearing loss have been associated with faster cognitive decline. If you or a loved one has trouble hearing, get evaluated. Hearing aids or assistive listening devices can restore social engagement and reduce cognitive load. G. Stress, mood, and mental health. Depression and chronic stress amplify brain risk. Practices like mindfulness, short daily meditation, breathing exercises, and psychotherapy when needed can lower stress hormones like cortisol and protect the hippocampus. Don't hesitate to seek help. Mental health is brain health. Lifestyle. Blueprint. A weekly plan you can start today. Here's a practical, realistic weekly plan that combines the strategies above. It's built for seniors in the U.S., but easily adaptable. Daily, every day, 20-30 minutes of walking. Break into 2x 10-minute sessions if needed. 2 brain-engaging tasks, 15 to 30 minutes total. Reading, puzzles, or learning a new recipe. Hydration and balanced meals. Mediterranean-style plate, 5 to 8 hours of consistent sleep. 3 times a week. Strength routine, 20 to 30 minutes. 6 to 8 exercises, 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Focus on major muscle groups. Use chair-based versions if needed. Twice a week. Social activity, book club, volunteer, community center class, or a phone call with a friend. Weekly check-in, review medications with your pharmacist or doctor. Some drugs impair cognition. Ask about anticholinergics. Blood pressure monitoring. Brief mood check. Are you sleeping, feeling motivated, staying social? Monthly tasks. If you haven't had a hearing test in recent years and notice difficulty, schedule one. If you smoke or drink heavily, Make a plan to reduce or stop with provider support. Discuss vitamin D status, B12 levels, and thyroid function with your clinician. Deficiencies are treatable causes of cognitive symptoms. EPR explanations, how these habits change brain structure. Let's translate the science into plain language so you can explain it to family and make confident choices. Blood pressure and brain health. High blood pressure damages tiny blood vessels that feed the brain. Over time, this creates small areas of damage and reduces overall brain volume. Imagine tiny gardens that aren't getting water. Plants, neurons wither. Exercise and growth factors. Exercise releases chemicals that are like fertilizer for the brain. They help neurons form new branches and strengthen existing connections. That's why movement leads to better memory and resistance to shrinkage. Inflammation and oxidative stress. Diets heavy in processed foods and high sugar create inflammation. Inflammation and oxidants are like rust on machinery. They slowly degrade the brain. Foods rich in polyphenols, omega-3s, and antioxidants act like anti-rust treatments. Sleep and cleaning up the brain. Sleep gives the brain a nightly cleaning service. Without it, waste proteins accumulate and harm neurons. That's why chronic poor sleep is a strong risk. Social and cognitive engagement. Interaction multiplies brain practice. Conversations. Teaching and shared activities force the brain to adapt, form new connections, and resist shrinkage. This is all practical. Optimize blood pressure, move daily, clean up your diet, sleep well, and stay mentally and socially active. And your brain responds. Here is your one-page action plan. Pin it to your fridge, keep it on your phone, or print and give to a family member. Daily. Walk 20-30 min. Or break into 2 sessions. Eat a Mediterranean-style plate, vegetables, healthy fat, lean protein, whole grains. So, 8 hours sleep with consistent schedule. 2 mentally stimulating activities. Reading, puzzles. Weekly strength training. 2 sessions. Social engagement. Call, visit someone, attend group. Check medication list for cognitive side effects. Monthly. Discuss blood pressure and diabetes control with your doctor. Hearing check if you notice changes. Review supplements and vitamin levels. D. B12. If you notice worrying changes. Speak to your primary care doctor. Ask about reversible causes, vitamin deficiencies, thyroid, medication review, sleep apnea, and about cognitive testing. Lifestyle change is not punishment. It's an act of love for yourself and your family. Small changes compound. Celebrate small wins. An extra 5 minutes of walking, choosing fish twice this week, making a new friend at a community center. These are not tiny. They are the building blocks of long-term brain health. Remember, you are not defined by a single memory lapse. You are defined by the life you lead. And your life can be long, rich, and filled with engagement. The choices you make now, even small ones, shape your brain's future. Let's return to the beginning. Brain shrinkage is a real phenomenon. Parts of the brain can become smaller over time. But the most powerful part of this story is that much of that change is within your influence. You can slow the shrinkage, support repair, and build resilience with simple, science-backed steps. Move, eat well, sleep well, stay socially and mentally engaged, treat hearing loss and medical risks, manage stress, and work with your healthcare team. If there's one message to carry away, it's this. Your brain is a living organ that responds to your care. When you treat it kindly, with movement, healthy food, good sleep, and connection, it rewards you with better memory, clearer thinking, and preserved independence. If you found this helpful, please like this video. It helps others find it. Share it with a friend, neighbor, or family member who might benefit. Consider subscribing for weekly, science-backed tips to help you age with health and dignity. If you have questions or want a printable one-page action plan, comment below. I read many of your comments and I'll reply. If you'd like, I can create follow-up videos, a 30-day walking and strength plan, a grocery list for the Mediterranean-style diet, or a sleep optimization guide for seniors. Thank you for spending this time investing in your brain. Take one small step today, a short walk, a vegetable, a good night's sleep, and notice how your life begins to shift. You deserve a clear mind, rich days, and a future full of presents with the people you love.